The day I bought 40 acres just to spite my HOA president, I never imagined she would spiral so badly that she'd end up in handcuffs, caught on my own security cameras. 6 months later, I still sometimes replay that footage while sipping morning coffee. The sheriff's deputies escorted her off my land. The look of disbelief on her face, the quiet satisfaction of knowing the nightmare was finally over. But to understand how it got there, you need to know how everything started. My name is Marcus Remy. I'm 45 years old, a remote software engineer, and at the time this story began, I was trying to rebuild my life after a brutal divorce. My ex-wife had decided our financial advisor was better husband material, which left me with a shattered marriage and a strong desire to start fresh somewhere peaceful. That's how I ended up in Willowbrook Estates. The name sounded like suburban paradise. Tree-lined streets, quiet lawns, friendly neighbors. In reality, it was a cookie-cutter subdivision ruled by an obsessive homeowners association. I bought a simple 3-bedroom ranch house on a corner lot. It had good bones, space for a small garden, and just enough distance from the neighbors to feel private. The first few days felt hopeful. Fresh paint still lingered in the air as I unpacked boxes. I imagined planting tomatoes in the backyard and finally enjoying some quiet. Then I met Dolores Dolly Peton. Dolly was the HOA president, a position she'd held for 8 straight years. She drove a spotless white BMW with the license plate HOA 1, and carried an iPad like it was a badge of authority. She was 52, sharply dressed, and radiated the kind of controlling energy that made people instinctively tense up. Her husband, Roger, usually shuffled behind her quietly, looking like someone who had apologized for her behavior far too many times. The harassment began in my 3rd week. One peaceful morning, I was drinking coffee when aggressive knocking rattled my front door. I opened it to find Dolly standing there, sunlight gleaming off her iPad screen. "Your mailbox is non-compliant," she said without even saying hello. Apparently, black mailboxes were forbidden. The approved color was forest green. That violation alone carried a $150 fine. The irony? The mailbox came with the house, and the previous owner told me the HOA approved it years earlier. Facts didn't matter to Dolly. From there, the violations multiplied like weeds. My work van parked in my driveway. Commercial vehicle violation, $300. A small garden gnome my daughter gave me. Aesthetic violation, $500. Security cameras after a neighbor was robbed, creating an atmosphere of suspicion. Another fine. But the breaking point came during my housewarming barbecue. It was a Saturday afternoon, nothing wild. 15 neighbors, burgers on the grill, kids laughing in the yard. For the first time since my divorce, I felt like a normal human again. Then Dolly arrived. She walked straight into my backyard without an invitation, wearing stilettos and carrying a measuring tape and a noise meter like some kind of suburban inspector general. "This exceeds maximum assembly parameters," she announced loudly. My guest went quiet. She claimed the noise levels were approaching a violation threshold and gave us 30 minutes to disperse, or she would contact authorities. It was 3 in the afternoon. The music was barely louder than normal conversation, but people didn't want trouble. One by one, my guests made excuses and left. Watching them walk away felt humiliating. The burgers burned on the grill, while the backyard went silent except for crickets. That night, I sat alone staring at leftover food and made a decision. If Dolly wanted a war, she'd picked the wrong software engineer. 2 weeks later, a certified letter arrived in my mailbox. The envelope was thick and intimidating. Inside was a notice claiming I owed $2,400 in HOA fines plus $800 in administrative fees. If I didn't pay within 30 days, they would place a lien on my property. The letter was designed to scare people into compliance, but software engineers solve problems for a living. For 3 nights, I barely slept, combing through HOA bylaws and state property laws. My dining room turned into a legal war room filled with highlighted documents and sticky notes. The more I read, the clearer the truth became. Dolly had skipped required hearings before issuing fines. She exceeded legal limits. She invented fees that didn't exist in the bylaws. While researching zoning laws, I remembered something from an old property class. Agricultural zoning often overrides residential HOA restrictions. That knowledge became important when I discovered something interesting on a county property map. Right next to our subdivision sat 40 acres of agricultural land, completely outside the HOA's jurisdiction. The land belonged to an elderly farmer named Ezra Whitfield, whose family had owned it for generations. I'd seen him a few times at Murphy's Diner, always sitting in the same booth eating apple pie. One morning I joined him. It turned out Ezra wanted to sell. Developers have been offering lowball deals, hoping to pressure him into giving up the land for more suburban houses. But he didn't want it turned into another row of identical homes. "You seem different," he told me. I offered $180,000, fair market value. We shook hands over coffee and pie. Within a week, the deal closed. Suddenly, I owned 40 acres of farmland right next to Willowbrook Estates. Freedom. Dolly found out almost immediately through neighborhood gossip. That evening, she appeared at my door, furious. "You can't just buy land like that," she snapped. "There are community standards." I calmly pulled the deed from my pocket. "This property is outside the HOA," I said. "Agricultural zoning." Her face went through confusion, anger, and then something close to panic. For the first time in 8 years, she had encountered something she couldn't control. She stormed away without another word. Game on. Her retaliation began within 48 hours. She filed complaints with city planning about my driveway construction, claiming agricultural vehicles would destroy neighborhood character. But I had already hired a professional surveyor. The survey revealed something beautiful. My lot extended 15 feet further than HOA maps showed. That meant my driveway could legally connect to the farmland without needing HOA approval. Construction started at exactly 7 a.m., the earliest legal time. Excavators roared to life. Gravel trucks rolled in. Diesel engines shook the quiet subdivision. My construction crew happened to include several contractors Dolly had previously fined. They were thrilled to help. Each day the driveway took shape. Concrete forms went in. Heavy equipment carved a path to my new property. Dolly tried everything. Code enforcement complaints, attempts to tow vehicles, even standing in front of trucks. None of it worked. Then came my favorite moment. She mocked my new steel gate while standing at the property line. "You can't watch everything," she sneered. I smiled and showed her my phone. The live camera feed displayed her standing there in real time. "Actually," I said, "I can." Her expression froze. That 8-foot steel gate, equipped with cameras and motion sensors, marked the border between her authority and my freedom. And she hated it. But the real chaos was just beginning. Unable to control my property, Dolly shifted tactics. She launched a Facebook group called Concerned Citizens of Willowbrook, posting dramatic photos of my steel gate and warning that farmland next door would destroy property values. According to her posts, I was apparently planning to turn the area into some kind of industrial farm invasion. But social media didn't behave the way she expected. I created a second group called Real Neighbors of Willowbrook. Within hours, people started sharing their own experiences with Dolly. Mrs. Patterson posted a photo of her small bird feeder next to the $900 violation notice Dolly had given her for excessive bird feeding. The Johnson family shared how they'd been fined repeatedly over a backyard basketball hoop. The comment sections exploded with stories. While the online battle raged, Dolly tried sabotaging my utilities by convincing a city council member to delay electrical service to the property. But I had a backup plan. Instead of relying on the grid, I installed solar panels, 24 of them, along with large battery systems that made the farm energy independent. Soon afterward, I drilled a well for water. Within weeks, my property could function completely off-grid. Dolly could control the neighborhood utilities all she wanted. She couldn't control the sun or groundwater. Her frustration turned into obsession. She began holding private HOA meetings in her living room, warning neighbors about me like I was some kind of threat to civilization. She hinted that property insurance might rise and mortgages might be affected. Meanwhile, my farmland slowly transformed. I planted organic vegetables, added beehives, and built small garden plots. Neighbors who once avoided my house started visiting out of curiosity. Then came the moment that changed everything. One rainy Tuesday, a delivery truck triggered my automatic gate while dropping off equipment. As the gate opened, Dolly slipped through behind the truck, tried to sneak onto my property. The truck exited through the back access road. The gate closed. Dolly was trapped inside. My security cameras recorded everything. At first, she looked confused, then angry, then panicked. For 30 minutes, she wandered the gravel driveway, trying to find a way out, slipping in the rain and yelling at the lock gate. Finally, I opened it remotely. She ran to her car without looking back. What she didn't know was that the gate camera had been live streaming. Thousands of viewers had watched the entire episode online. The video spread across the internet overnight. But that wasn't the real bombshell. A week later, an anonymous envelope appeared in my mailbox containing photocopies of HOA meeting minutes. The document showed over $50,000 in fines collected from residents in 1 year alone. That money was supposed to fund community improvements. Instead, it had been paid to Dolly's relatives for services that never happened. Her brother-in-law's landscaping company received thousands for phantom maintenance. Her cousin's security business billed for patrols nobody had ever seen. Late that night, Roger showed up at my door. He admitted he had sent the documents. For years, he had secretly copied records, horrified by what his wife was doing to neighbors. She keeps journals, he told me quietly, lists of people she wants to force out. The evidence revealed more than financial fraud. Dolly had been targeting specific families, especially minorities and elderly residents, with endless violations until they moved away. The story was bigger than a neighborhood dispute. It was corruption. The next morning, I contacted attorney Sarah Blackwood, a lawyer known for fighting abusive HOAs. After reviewing the evidence, she looked up at me and said one sentence: "This is a federal case." Over the next weeks, we gathered victims. Families shared stories of harassment, fines, and intimidation. A digital forensic expert uncovered bank transfers and fake invoices tied to Dolly's relatives. Local journalist Jennifer Mills began preparing an investigation. Everything built toward one moment: the next HOA board meeting. When Thursday night arrived, more than 200 people packed the community center. News cameras waited outside. Dolly walked in expecting a routine meeting. Instead, she faced a room full of people ready to speak. One by one, residents described the fines and harassment they'd endured. Then Sarah stood up and presented the financial records. Finally, Roger spoke publicly for the first time, confirming everything. Dolly tried shouting about conspiracies and illegal documents, but the room had already turned against her. Then the sheriff's deputies stepped forward. Dolores Peton. One of them said calmly, "You're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy." The metallic click of handcuffs echoed across the silent room. Exactly 1 year has passed since that night. Dolly pleaded guilty and served time in federal prison. The stolen money was returned to residents, and the HOA was restructured with strict oversight. As for the 40 acres, they became a thriving community farm. Children now harvest vegetables where Dolly once tried to extend her control. Farmers markets bring neighbors together every weekend. The gates still stand at the entrance, but it stays open during the day, not as a barrier anymore, but as a reminder of the moment one person finally stood up to a bully who thought she owned the neighborhood.